again, Aunty Yunike. Comfort time with Aunty Yunike. There are more comforting stories coming, so brace up because there's more to come. Today I'm sharing a miracle that I was humbly allowed to participate in while at the UN, while representing two organizations, a spiritual organization and a secular organization. Spiritual organization being the World Union of Catholic Women Organization, which National Council of Catholic Women Organization in Zambia is a member of. And the secular organization was the Non-Governmental Coordinating Council, the NGOCC, which I'm sure most of us know. While at the UN, I'm one person who loves tea and coffee. Those who know me will tell you I'm always looking out for a hot cup of tea, hot cup of coffee, or even just hot cup of water. I'm not one to drink cold things. So while at the UN, in March, it's very, very cold in New York. It's snowing, it's really freezing. So while we are there, you need to make sure you are warm, and in between sessions, I'll find myself going to the restaurants. There are different restaurants in the building as the area is huge. So I'll go to the one restaurant for my tea and biscuits while I'm waiting for the next session. And I would meet representatives from different countries. So every time I met some African leaders, and these are government representatives and delegates. So I would, me being, friendly that I am, I would go to them and say, okay, which country are you from? And they would share. So we'd get to chatting and would exchange phone numbers for while we are there. And this went on for a number of days. And then one day, as I was going out with a friend of mine who was also representing SWAZ at the time, Molly Samakai, we were on our way to the restaurant just to go and have a cup of tea. Then we met Mrs. Elizabeth Mataka, the UN envoy at the time on HIV and AIDS. She was looking very unhappy, and we asked what was going on. So she said, it's very sad because these government SADDC leaders have not agreed on the terminology of HIV, AIDS, or HIV and AIDS. The SADDC region is not going to be funded. And it's closing in about 3 hours. So they've already not agreed, and I don't know what to do. I don't think they understand exactly what this means. And right there when she said that, I felt, like coldish. And I was like, okay, just mention the names of the countries again. I knew the names, what they were, but I just couldn't believe that what she was saying was, so we started going through the countries. So they mentioned them one by one, all the SADDC countries. And I said, you said we've got 3 hours? She said, yes. I said, okay, so what if all these people could be brought into one room? Is it possible that we can still salvage the situation? She said it's not possible. They're all in different rooms, different sessions. So getting them in one place to talk to them, to really make them understand, it's just not possible. I said, no, I think it is. So she looked at me like I was crazy. I said, you know what? Every time I went to have my tea, I met leaders, government leaders of different countries. And all these leaders are people from the SADDC region. Of course, I met many others, but I had phone numbers, contact numbers for all the SADDC delegates. So if I call them, can you still talk to them? She said if it's possible that you can do that, but I could say that she didn't think it's something that could happen, seeing that we had very little time. So I got on the phone and started calling each and every delegate. Of course, they were not happy, but you know, being a representative of a spiritual organization put me in a position where I was not a threat, I was not in competition with any of them. So when I pleaded with them to please come out for just a minute so that I share something with them, they were not happy, but they did come. So I called each and every one of them as we waited in the hallway. And they came out. And so after that, I called the leadership for NGOCC at the time, the senior leadership, to also come. And our UN envoy at the time, the NGOCC leadership came and met the delegation. And they explained to them what it meant that they have not agreed on the terminology. I left at that point with my friend. We went and got our tea and left them discussing. So she explained, if you don't agree, we've got 3 hours. If the SADC region does not agree on the terminology that is acceptable, it means that we have to wait until the following year when this can come up and you can renegotiate what terminology we are going to use. So that means there will be no funding for the entire year. That means no drugs, that means this. So a lot of losses for the SADC region. And after she explained that, they got it. So when they went back into their meeting, they were able to now say we are going with this terminology. And they were all in agreement. And because they were in agreement, we were now able to get funding for the SADC region. And it's then that I started thinking, wait, all that time, so every time I went to have my tea and every time I met someone and talked to them and got their contact number, God knew that I would need those contact numbers for such a time. And God planned it a long time ago. So it just humbled me so much that God used me to perform such a duty and also to help our UN envoy, our representative, to ensure that she carried out her duty. And that, you know, it was just amazing that Mrs. Mataka came at the time when, you know, the UN is big, it's huge, and there are so many halls and conference rooms. So what were the odds that she and us would meet at that particular point? All that, if you look at that, shows that this was not something that was just happening. It was something ordained by our God because He loves the SADC. Because He wanted to make sure that SADC region got what it needed. So with God, nothing is impossible. Time means nothing. You can get your last minute miracle just when you are giving up. That is why you should never give up on our Lord. Trust Him to come through for you. We didn't know this was going to happen. It happened and we are grateful. And the SADC region got what was coming to us. And so all of us are happy and we thank God for that. So what I would like to stress is that we are to be our brother's keepers. When I go into a place, when I was at the UN, I know you're going to say I was very nosy, I was very curious, but imagine if I went into a restaurant and kept to myself and didn't care who the next person was. So you never know who is going to help you, who's going to be there for you. You lose nothing by being friendly, greeting the next person, when I was greeting them and being friendly, I love people. So for me, when I see a human being, that's my brother, that's my sister, that's my daughter, that's my son. So I want to know what is going on and how they are. I want to know about their country, and I also want to show off and tell them about my country. So it's because I was nosy, if you can call it that I ended up getting all the contacts that allowed me to participate in this very special miracle. So when we go anywhere, when you meet people, please say hello. You lose nothing. Smile. You never know what that smile would do for that person. People are going through a lot of hardships, and it can just be your smile that stops someone from committing suicide. So please love each other. Let's be there for each other. Let's be curious. Let's make sure that when we're out somewhere, we greet each other, we are friendly. We never know what that just one greeting, just one smile, where it will lead. We are all social beings, and we should do everything as social beings. I'd also like to urge everyone not to be intimidated, because when I was calling on the SADDC leaders, I was calling on countries. I could easily have been scared to call on them, but I didn't, because I knew what was at stake. I called on different countries because I was able to interact with them. I was able to sit with them and talk to them and appreciate what they were bringing to the table. I did not know I was going to need them afterwards. I did it because that is what is expected of a delegate at any level. When you meet different delegates, you ensure that you interact at that level. Don't be intimidated. Share whatever you can share. I was able to share my contact in case they needed me. I didn't know I would need them so soon, but I was able to, and therefore it worked out. Thank you. So we continue with our comfort time with Aunty Yunike. There's more where that came from, so please continue following, continue liking, subscribing, sharing, so that more can get to learn, more can be encouraged, and more can gain the knowledge. Stay blessed. See you in the next video.